Good morning, buenos dias. I'm Robert Cordero. I'm the CEO of Grand Street Settlement. Welcome to our beautiful Bushwick, Brooklyn Child and Family Care Center. We were so excited to host Governor Hochul today. Welcome.
Thank you, gracias.
You are an incredible book reader. I told her she did a great job with a cold reading
Cold read, yeah.
our book, My First Day the Grand Street Way.
It
Thank you
was
so
cute. It
much
was so
for
cute.
doing
It was so
this.
cute.
We have a few copies, limited edition for folks that would like it. So look, I just really want to say thank you. Grand Street Settlement has been delivering child care since 1916. In 1968, we were one of the first recipients of Head Start funding from the federal government to fight the war on poverty. I'm a product of the Head Start program, proud product of the Head Start program. And it just gives me great pleasure today to host all of you, to see so many dignitaries from Head Start, from our elected officials, unions, but most importantly, our teachers. Our teachers who are so undervalued so often, and they're being lifted up by a governor who gets it. A governor in Governor Hochul who really understands that we need affordable child care in order to have a high-functioning society, to have a New York that's best in the nation at supporting children and families. So thank you for doing that, and thank you, like the book says, for being bold, grand, and inspired.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Robert, for the extraordinary work that you and your team, and particularly the teachers, do at this place to give new chances to kids who grew up in a circumstance where life has been hard. You know, not everything's always perfect at home. And they can come to a place like this, I could sense immediately when I walked in, it's so full of love, so full of life, and so full of hope. And that's what we can do to help our kids get that head start in life. And I want to thank you and everyone who's dedicated yourselves to giving these kids a chance. And so thank you to everyone here at this great organization. We'll be hearing from Natalia Daza, who's one of the teachers here, who I just had a chance to meet her children. The love was so palpable. It looked as if you were the mother of all of them, and they're absolutely adorable, absolutely adorable. I want to thank you. And I have another great partner, and that's Henry Garrido, an extraordinary national but also local labor leader, executive director of ASME DC 37. And he's going to be talking about what programs like this mean to his members and how important it is for the working, mostly women, but men as well, who really benefit from child care programs and our investments in them. So I want to thank Henry for being such a great leader as well. I have my team here as well, our Commissioner of Department of Labor, Roberta Reardon, thank you, whose job is to make sure that we get jobs for these kids when they get older. Commissioner Harris Madden, the Office of Children and Family Services, who's so dedicated. Also, Senator Julia Salazar, and I want to thank her for being such a champion for families and the children that you represent, and statewide indeed. So let's give her another round of applause as well. Any other electeds I miss here? All right. And also the members of the Child Care Availability Task Force, thank you. Thank you for all the great work you did. Now, the reason I felt so comfortable in that room with the children reading books is that I've been there before. I don't think other governors in the state of New York have been able to claim that. They know what it's like to be a mom. In fact, I'm rather certain they don't know. But it is that experience and life's experiences that have made me so sensitive and so attuned to the needs of families today, and not just from back when I was struggling and had to leave a job I loved because there was no child care. Literally, that is why I stopped working. I wanted to keep working. I worked for Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. It was an honor. It was my dream since I was in 8th grade to do something like that. And when our kids came along and my husband left his job at a law firm to become a public servant, 50% cut in salary, I left a law firm to become a public servant, another 50% cut, and then I left the workforce. Our income just kept going down and down. Now, it was by choice. You know, we didn't grow up in those tough circumstances, as tough as people have it, but I will say this. We struggled, and we had to make decisions. And shopping for little ones was just a nightmare. I mean, how long can these diapers last? I mean, you can't reuse them. The formula, the laundry detergent, the dishwasher detergent, everything. And so that's why we're talking so much about affordability, because I see the struggle not just from my experience, but also through the eyes of my own children. My son and daughter-in-law who are raising a daughter who struggled again to have childcare, and my 2-year-old granddaughter's in a program like this. And I can see how she's developing in that environment, but they're lucky because that's available to them. It's all about affordability and availability when it comes to childcare. So let's talk about what we can do as a state. We've invested $7 billion in my first day of the state to say, I get it. We have to make up for past disinvestment when others didn't see the need. It was always, well, that's your family's problem, right? Employers didn't care, government didn't care. You figured that out. You want to have kids, you figured it out. Well, that's not a nurturing society. That's not who we are as New Yorkers. We want to give everybody that lift up that they need, especially in those early tough years. We want to support our families, not make them feel they have to leave our state because everything was so expensive from housing to childcare. We want them to stay and prosper here. So we had to make a decision, working with our senator and our elected officials. We're going to make massive commitments to childcare. And what I'm going to propose in my State of the State 1 week from today is $110 million to help build more childcare centers. Because I've heard from everybody, we have a shortage of facilities. And we have an amazing program that if your family earns $108,000 or less, your child care costs can be capped at $15 a week. You think about that. Think about the money that's back in your pockets. But it only helps if there's a place to go. That sounds nice on paper, but if you're in a child care desert, it doesn't matter. So let's build more. Let's have the ambition to build more facilities and to populate them with more nurturing teachers and teams to support them. So the other challenge we have is the shortage of teachers. And on days when a teacher's own kids are sick, or there's transportation problems, or as my daughter-in-law is home with my grandchild today because there's 1 foot of snow. And what's 1 foot of snow, really? In our nation's capital, they've been home for days, parents are off work, or if you're a teacher who has to deal with that, who's taking care of the kids? So one of the recommendations of our extraordinary child care task force was, let's build a pool run by State Department of Labor of substitute teachers that we can, but also the answer is either. Let's continue having smart experts and people engaged in this career, in this profession, to continue gathering and giving recommendations to myself and the legislature. So I want to keep that going. So that's our third announcement, is we're going to continue the coalition on child care task force and move toward, ultimately, universal child care. Yes. We need to get there. We need to get there. So we're going to help provide the child care, help deal with the cost of it, because I know that it's a lot cheaper to put your kid through college than it is to have them taken care of in child care. 155% more expensive to put your child in child care than it is to send them to a public college in the state of New York. Think about that. The toughest years are the first years, right? And that's why yesterday we announced, we hear you, that we're tripling the child care tax credit from $330 to $1,000. You have 2 children 3 years old and under, that's $2,000 more in your pocket. And just on top of that was our announcement last week that we'll be having the inflation rebate, so every family will receive $500 as well. So add it up. It starts paying for the diapers, helps pay for child care, starts paying for the clothes that they outgrow every couple of months. So the message is this. New York families, we hear you. We know the struggles. We know what you're going through. And we're going to do everything in our power to deliver policies and programs and financial support to help you get through these tough times. So you look back and say, it was hard, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of challenges with little ones. We got through because we had a state who believed in all of us. and we made a difference. Thank you very much. I want to thank you all for your support here today. And with that, let me bring up Henry Garrido.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm Henry Garrido. I represent the many workers in the early childhood sector, but I also represent about 150,000 city workers that have residency requirement, are required to live here. They're some of the lowest paid city workers. Many of them are women of color, who are challenged with a very difficult decision. A decision I call an unenviable one, which is you either leave the job that you have, or you have to make the choice to, access housing and childcare that you cannot afford. And so we've been fighting and trying to lead or be part of the lead of the fight that addresses the challenges that have led us to about a quarter of the unionized workers losing their jobs. We've lost a quarter of the unionized labor centers in New York. So the challenges are, you've heard about them, right? They're lack of pay, equal pay, right? A lead teacher on our early childhood education program gets paid substantially less than that of the school system. And we work really hard, and I want to thank Commissioner Ritter. Without her, we wouldn't have been able to settle the last contract, where she provided us some key data for the difference between lead teachers and non-certified lead teachers. And so I think we've made some progress in that area, but we still have a lot of work to do. But access to facilities, access to resources is a key component. Administrative bureaucracies, lack of payment on time for providers continues to be a problem. For that reason, I'm proud to stand here. I want to thank the CEO, Roberto, and Cordero, and obviously, certainly, I want to thank the governor for her partnership. If you want to know why we support this governor, it's because she gets it. It's when she described early on her struggles, it's the struggles of the people we represent, the struggles my own mother had when I was growing up, not too far from here. I talk to Senator Salazar about her all the time. And so working people need a champion. And so I want to thank the governor for taking a leadership on affordability. I also want to thank the lead teachers here, Natalia, for her dedication, and the workers who work in centers like this and other centers who have put the kids first, even though many of them haven't gotten paid on time. Many of them have not gotten the compensation they deserve.
They get paid on time at Grand Street.
Oh, okay. Let's hope so, because if not, you'll be hearing from me, right? No, I do. I think this is one of those centers that has been a model for what a partnership between union and management has been and continue to be. And so we're proud to stand here. This past election, there was a real loud cry for working people who felt they were being left behind. And part of it is economics, right? And the challenge of childcare and good wages and working conditions are part of it. So I'm extremely proud to stand up with a governor who gets that, who understands that, who listened to the voters, but also has lived it herself, so she doesn't have to go and get a think tank to tell her what it's like to work and to struggle. So for that, we're extremely grateful. So thank you. We'll continue to support. I think $110 million goes a long way to help centers like fathers who are struggling. You're going to make sure that budget reflects that. And for that, we continue to support our governor and continue to push for issues at this budget to come. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Natalia, a teacher here at Bushwick Family Child Center. And my role as a teacher isn't just with my students. It's also with the families we serve, with the community. And I just want to say my thank yous to Governor Hochul for her continued leadership and advocating for affordable childcare. And that's what we need, not just here in our community, but as she said, universal. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes our program. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, the kids, how are you?
Good morning.
I'm so happy to see